What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Let Me Holla at You. I'm one of your co-hosts, Katya, and this is my lovely husband,
Trey.
And we're so excited to have you back with us for, again, yet another episode. And it is a very special episode today because it is our 1-year wedding anniversary. So thank you guys for joining us. We're excited to have you here. And we're going to go ahead and jump into the tea because today we are talking all things Love is Blind Season 8. So, spoiler warnings ahead. I'll go ahead and say it now. If you want to keep listening to our kind of intro story, we're going to kind of go over what we did for our anniversary. But then we're going to get into Love is Blind. And we'll make sure we give you a warning before we start and get into the tea.
Let's get it.
So usually we bring you guys stories from our listeners or ones that we found on the internet, usually from Reddit. But today we're going to share our own story today. So obviously, like we've mentioned previously in the intro, today is our anniversary. And so we usually always do something for our anniversary. And honestly, I think we've always traveled.
Yeah, we always go somewhere.
Yeah, we always do like a weekend trip. Like nothing extravagant, but just like some weekend trip, we always go somewhere or do something. And then this one was no different. So obviously, instead of a dating anniversary, it was for our wedding anniversary. But we went to Universal. So shout out Universal Orlando Resorts.
Yes.
Appreciate the parks.
Great job. Good work.
We're excited for Epic Universe. Just saying.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, so we went to Universal. I'll just say we went to Islands of Adventure specifically. Shout out Frozen Butterbeer. If you drink butterbeer another way, I have trust issues with you. Frozen Butterbeer is really the only way to go. Just saying, it's the better one.
Yeah.
But I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so of course we enjoyed some Harry Potter world stuff. I've been getting my husband slowly into Harry Potter, so he actually said some things like while we were in Harry Potter world, and I was like falling in love with him even more because he was saying things that like he would have never understood before. So proud of him.
I watch you play that freaking Hogwarts Legacy all the time. And so I'm always like scrolling on my phone, but you can't help but like pay attention when like something crazy happens or she's killing some cool looking monster. So I'm always like, oh, what is it?
Yeah.
And you just kind of tune in.
Shout out Hogwarts Legacy on the PlayStation. That's my game. I heard that they might be coming out with an expansion, by the way, and or like a Hogwarts Legacy 2, like a continuation. And if that's the case, you're in for more trouble because I'm gonna obviously get that one too.
I expect.
Besides that, though, we are definitely, well, I specifically, but I think he's now one too. We are like roller coaster junkies.
Yeah.
So we don't like, we love going to the parks to walk around and be in the theme and everything. But no, really, we're going for the rides. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So we rode Velocicoaster a couple times. That's I think my all-time favorite roller coaster.
It gets better every time you do it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, let's be real. So I explained this. Well, we talked about it obviously when we were there. But you know, roller coaster's good when your butt is literally lifted out of the seat for 3/4 of the ride, like more than you're sitting in the seat. It's lifted out of the seat more than you're sitting.
Oh yeah, we was twerking.
I was just getting air. I was getting air. There were a couple of times that I was like reaching for the like seat or the headrest in front of me, like I better not fall out of this. Like, but it was that good.
And in true Trey fashion, I'm screaming just to scream, like not afraid, just screaming just to scream, making jokes, saying the stupidest thing I can possible. Because my thing is, I always think about the people that are like underneath that like see the roller coaster going.
Yeah.
And every time it like swoops down, you can hear somebody screaming or something like that. So I'm always like wanting to say like the most outrageous stuff. So that way, like when people see me coming up and they're like, what did you say? Or like, why are you screaming like that? Or like, what is weird? Like, what's happening on here? Like, I just like making different sounds. Like, so that's how I enjoyed it.
Oh my gosh, you guys have not lived until you've experienced a like roller coaster ride with my husband. Like when he talks about when he's making jokes, he is like screaming but like cracking jokes. I think my favorite one that he cracked yesterday was, "These Nikes were expensive."
Yes, because when the G-forces, so you know when you got Nikes, you know what I'm saying, or Jordans, you don't tie the shoe regular. You know, you got to do some kind of design. So I got like a shoestring kind of design going on. And so my shoe, and I don't like when my shoes hug my feet too much. You know, my feet kind of flat. You know, anything. It's a whole thing. So I have them a little looser. You know, they're more comfortable for me that way. And so certain parts of the ride, like I could just feel my shoe just kind of coming up a little bit. I'm like, bro, I cannot lose a shoe out here. Like anything else, I could survive, but No
That
shoe?
might have been the internal thought, but he was screaming, "These Nikes better not fall off!" As we're literally on the ride, like upside down, dangling, and my shoes better not.
But see, it goes
was so
along
funny.
with it. Like
It was so funny.
it's just the least thing you would expect to hear when
Oh,
somebody's
yeah.
on a roller coaster is something about some Nikes and like, you better not lose my Nike. like you know what I'm saying? Like that's hilarious. Like that's
Yeah, it
it's an
is.
incredible moment. Like you never forget that. Like
Oh, yeah, no, like literally my new favorite person to ride a roller coaster with, because I'm just over there, hands up, maybe some little woos here and there, but like I'm just chilling and enjoying. But the jokes, those are hilarious. Like, and I've
Picking.
been to theme parks a lot. Like, I grew up in the Central Florida area. I'm the theme park junkie. I grew up going to them. My friends and I literally would go after school. Okay, like we were in the backyard, and we were very, grateful to have that. However, like I'm used to theme parks and going on rides, but I've never had someone that like cracked jokes like that on the ride. And so like that's like you're like my new favorite like ride buddy now for that reason, I think.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate your hands raised and your screaming and your bracing yourself as well. But
But
no,
anyway,
it was a lot of fun.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Did you have a favorite part of Universal?
I like the was it Hagrid's motorbike?
Yes,
I like the Hagrid's
with
motorbike.
the
That was
motorcycle
always
little.
yeah, that was cool. That one had a couple like moments in it that I wasn't expecting, like in the roller
like the
coaster.
drop.
Yeah, and then like the reverse kind of backwards thing. That was really cool. Yeah, that one was my favorite, and I really enjoyed the Hulk ride too. The Hulk ride was really really good.
Classic.
And Velocicoaster was also really fun. It was better for me the second time.
And you actually really liked that indoor one. Harry Potter's like Forbidden Journey or something.
Oh yeah,
The indoor one.
Yeah, with the spiders and stuff.
Yeah.
That one's cool.
You actually
I
like
actually
that one.
really
That's
enjoyed that one. It actually gave me like a couple moments of like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. You know, like you could feel it was cool.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed like watching the little 3D things and
Right.
like, flying and stuff. It was awesome.
I think my favorite part actually, like now thinking back, of course, all the rides. Velocicoaster is my absolute favorite. Then Hagrid's after that. Then the Harry Potter Forbidden Journey or whatever. And it just keeps going. I like the Hulk too. But like those are top is obviously Velocicoaster, and then it goes to Harry Potter. But and I loved getting some butterbeer. However, we actually had a lot of fun. I love waiting. This sounds weird. I love waiting in line and playing games in line though. So like we were playing rock paper scissors a lot, and like we were getting so competitive, but it was actually so fun or funny. It was like the most simplest game.
Right.
And then for Hagrid the motorbike, I remember he had his phone, and we were playing like Heads Up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was hilarious. We had some clues that we were just getting into, and even people around us were like laughing at like some of the clues we were giving. It was just a lot of fun. So
I
just like cool memories, like in
inner
between.
actor. So I always like when I'm trying to get her to guess the celebrities and stuff, I'm always going like I'm literally portraying them in some way. So like for example, one of the cars was Angelina Jolie, and I literally go, and the guy next to me was like,
no, it was even more. It was like
I was really exaggerating the lips, and the guy next to me was like dying, dying. He's like, oh
he knew exactly who it was.
He's like, you don't get that? Like that's great. Like that's perfect. Like, and I'm just sitting there like, you feel me? Like like you get it? Like,
and it was just like going right over my head.
I feel like KB Lane, like,
yeah,
like
yeah, it was going right over my head too. So everyone was dying, and then I was like, I got to the end after I was like, oh, just skip it. I just can't get it. I got to the end. I was like, oh, I should have gotten that one. Angelina Jolie. Like, I was like, okay. But anyway, yeah, that's all. We just wanted to share a little Universal story, but that was what we did for our anniversary.
Yes.
If you guys have any like theme park, stories, I'd love to hear them. Whether they're relationships or not, like I love theme parks, so send them all in. And yeah, I think we'll go ahead and jump right into the episode if you're good.
Let's get into it.
Awesome. And this is your trigger spoiler warning. We are about to dive into our episode, so if you have not seen Love is Blind and you don't want any spoilers, now's a good time to hop off and save this spot in the episode for later to jump back on and watch after you've watched the first drop of season 8 of Love is Blind.
Holla at you. So let's kick it off with one of my favorite couples, Devin and Virginia. Shout out to them. Happy for your engagement. Hope this goes far. Don't know how long ago that was filmed.
Right.
But and at first Devin was kind of like in this 2-part love triangle kind of thing, where he was really getting to know this one girl named Brittany and Virginia together. And first of all, I just want to say this and put this on Front Street. Both girls were amazing and great in completely different ways. I felt like, in a sense, him and Brittany had a lot in common as far as their life, their career, and they both played basketball. Yeah, they had and I love that. Like I just love that the fact that their lives are centered around the same thing. And so they really hit it off at first. And then like as time kind of went on, I did feel like I was shifting more towards Virginia.
I was gonna say that too. So like I was actually rooting for Brittany in the beginning a little bit more. Like I think they just like hit it off a little bit better to me, or maybe it was because it was more energetic. I just kind of like can coincide that with like chemistry or something. But as we went on, I actually did like Virginia better for him, just in more of a way that they like felt more romantic and more intimate in their conversations than like him and Brittany. Like him and Brittany felt very much more like friends,
like homie
like
vibes.
as it kind of like kept going. Not saying that they wouldn't work out, obviously, but like I feel like they were just very much more on like more of a friend vibe.
Yeah.
After like as they kept talking, and you could kind of like see the differences.
Right.
So I'm glad him and Virginia ended up kind of together. I feel like that was maybe a better like romantic match.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's a good point too to make that. Both girls could have been great, but sometimes like because somebody is so similar to you, that may not be what you need in that chapter of your life. And I think as far as where Andre was trying to go and who he was and who he was trying to be, Virginia was more so suited to that man or that type of person. So I think it made sense. I can definitely see him and Brittany remaining good friends. They did end on great terms, which I appreciate because so many times I think people try to take something and blow it up when in all actuality, like we can just keep it nice and platonic and just be chill, you know? And I did think they had like one little tiff, I think towards the end, where she mentioned she dropped a bomb on her sexuality that at first she wasn't very forthcoming on.
I don't think that was necessarily, well, I mean it was a bomb, but I don't think it was a tiff. I think it was just something for him to think about.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it.
Yeah, because honestly, and I'm thinking it from my perspective too, like if I had, or for even, obviously this is not you, but if you had even like while we were dating kind of dropped a bomb like, oh, I am also, you know, maybe like bisexual or something, and it's like I don't have any issues with it. Let's get that out there in the first place. Like we are not those kind of people. Let's put that out there. But it's something I would still have to think about though, because for example, for me, I'm not. So it's something that I would have to like understand from a deeper standpoint, I think a little bit. And it's especially I think too if you're insecure at all. I know like from a place of if you're worried if someone could cheat on you or you're worried about who they hang out with, like especially when it comes to the opposite sex, it's like if you have those insecurities, now it's going to be amplified because you have to worry about like both genders. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like, oh, just, you know, her hanging out with men. It's like, oh, well, her hanging out with girls too. Like, is she catching feelings? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because some couples, like, and it just works for them. Like, they hardcore have like boundaries that they do not cross, like lines that they don't cross when it comes to talking to the other sex, unless it has something to do with like work or church. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that works for them. I'm not saying it's healthy, but it works for them. And it's like, so that could be something too that he also had to think about is like, am I gonna have these like feelings or whatever of like always feeling like tiptoeing? And it might have not even been that at all. Honestly, I don't know, because they didn't really argue about it. I think they were just at that point like friends.
Because I mean, she did make it clear that like when she's with someone and that's her person, like she's with them.
Yes,
like
and
she's
she did
not.
say that.
Yeah, she said that. She made that very, very clear. I think.
Yeah. So I don't know if
that
it was,
like it's not just like
maybe he was just feeling,
you know.
Maybe I'm also thinking too, maybe because she kind of brought up that sexual kind of part of it, or like that's her own sexuality of like that she does also like women or whatever, but she has seen herself married to a man. Like, is it something too that maybe her bringing that up, he was like, I don't know if I actually see myself with her in that way, and it kind of made him realize maybe we are just friends or like really good friends at this point. But either way, I mean, he's with Virginia now.
Yeah.
But on that same kind of like wavelength with like, I think everyone kind of pretty much, there was like at some point everyone kind of had like two people that they were in between. And kind of the friends thing is, can we talk about David, Lauren, and Molly? So David and Lauren ended up getting engaged. Lauren was the teacher.
Yes.
And then Molly was the redheaded dancer.
Yes.
Just the best way for us to remember, because, you know, we just watched it, guys.
Right.
Trying to make sure we got our names.
We don't know these people.
Right, we don't know these people at all.
All right.
But I feel like I actually thought David and Molly might have had a better chemistry than David and Lauren. And I was rooting for David and Lauren, not saying that I'm not at all still, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not a fan of David and Lauren. I just feel like David and Molly might have been, I hate to say better, because I'm not trying to get in that, you know what I'm saying? But like, I feel like, I don't know, David and Molly just seem to have a little bit more like life to them together than maybe David and Lauren to me. But I'm also thinking too, like, was it just more of like a really good friendship, I guess? I
I
don't
was
know.
I was thinking about this, and I think as you were talking, I think I have a different point. I don't think it was the girls at all. I think it's like, what was the guy's name?
David.
I think it was him. There's something about him
Something about him that was off.
that seemed off. Like and the only reason I said this because I felt like Molly and her personality, especially towards the beginning, she was very much personable,
Yeah.
very much open up. Every time he talks, it seems very robotic, very like kind of put on. Now that I think about, and that's in both of the relationships, like with Molly and Laura. Like I feel like both of them are very emotional, but he was just almost like cut off. Like has anybody ever
That's very
like,
observant.
no offense, but anybody ever like seen Elon Musk talk sometimes and it just looks like he's staring like in another dimension? Like it kind of was
Yeah.
like that. Like he was just like talking around it as if he's like in it, but he knows where he is, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Like something about him just doesn't seem weird. And I don't know what's coming next. Maybe something will be revealed and like maybe that'll be what it is. But something was kind of off about him. Like he was
Yeah.
just something just I don't know. It just feels off. Like I don't even know how to
No,
put it
I'm
into
actually glad
words.
you said that though, because I wasn't thinking it, but like now I'm actually curious. I'm like, okay, well, what's wrong? Well, not what's wrong with him, but like I'm excited to see the next ones because I want to pick up on like what it is that you might have seen or kind of got or whatever.
Yeah.
But speaking about off, can we talk about the op of the season, Madison? Sorry, guys, I really have.
Or
some
the op of the
feelings.
first half of the season.
You're right. There
Because we
could be
didn't
more ops.
Because I will say this season of Love Is Blind, there was not as much like drama in the pod side, other than like
Other
guys
than
being
Madison.
torn in between, multiple women's and not really knowing which direction they want to go in.
Other than Mads.
But yeah,
I would love to. I'll keep it going. Okay, so we have Madison talking to Mason, who's also talking to Meg, or like Mason was talking to Meg and Madison, and Madison was also talking to Alex. Sorry, I had to write these down because I keep forgetting some of these guys' names. Sorry, dudes. Anyway, also talking to Alex. Alex was only there for Madison. Love it, great, whatever. But can we talk about how this entire like time she kept saying that she was fine with like Mason talking to two girls. I mean, she was literally talking to two guys. And yet, like, the moment Alex was like, I'm just all in for you, and she finally, like, I guess wanted to stop waiting for Mason to say that to her, like, all of a sudden she's just, like, picking Alex. And then, sorry, let me calm down. And then after that, though, Mason's like, I'm all in for you. And then she keeps it going. Like, she knew, or she had kind of told him that she had picked Alex, but she didn't break it off with him for what reason? You know what I mean? Like, you should have broken it off when you knew. And she didn't. She kept it hanging, and then became a whole girlfriend to Alex and kept Mason still hanging until the next day or whatever. And then on top of that, he's talking to Meg, right? And this whole time, I peeped something. This whole time, I think the producers wanted us to think that Madison was Mason's number one and that Meg was Mason's number two.
mm-hmm.
But in the very last episode, and I rewinded to watch it again and everything, Mason said that his number two was talking to his number one in the pods over there when he was talking to Alex about this whole situation, about how when Madison was like confronting him about how like, well, me and Meg have been talking and all this other stuff. So if that's the case, then really Meg was always number one and Madison was his number two, and they've just kind of made it seem like it was the other way around because, drama. And honestly, I could see that because I don't know. I feel like him and Meg got on a little bit better. Now, granted, Meg always was talking. Love her, and I can talk too, girl.
Yeah.
But she really did yap a lot. So at some points, I was like, okay, so does he like her more or the same or whatever?
Well,
because
my thing about that is when you're leading the conversation and there's not really a lot of space for the other person to think, to speak. As much as like she led on that she was so into him that he was on, which I mean I believe her because I mean she was there for only him for like how long,
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like how much did you really know about him? Because he really like if I think back on their conversations, they really never got into anything
deep.
Super deep.
Yeah.
It was all very surface level and like weird, and then they would like go off on tangents about them saying the same weird phrase or weird thing, which I get. Like if you say something and everybody looks at you like you're weird, but then you say it to this one person, they're the only one that gets it.
Yeah.
Like, I totally get how that's a big thing, but it's like, I don't feel like they ever just got down into...
But at the same time, though, they did get into a lot of stuff that would be considered deep, but, like, they agreed a lot on it, like, kind of spirituality and, like, religion and stuff, too. Like, they actually very much agreed on a lot of those things, and I feel like it's not like how they felt about it wasn't like super common.
Yeah.
So I feel like if anything, they actually at least on those things touched on it, and it was very like they just instantly kind of agreed, so they didn't really have to go too deep into it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I did like them. Would they have worked? I'm not sure, but I really think that Meg should have like and this is another thing. Sorry. I really think Meg should have made up her own mind or maybe like have at least seen it through like for another week or so with him, especially going into like the honeymoon kind of phase or whatever, where they like get together and everything. Because and like just made up her own mind. Because let's talk about how Madison literally came in there and instantly was basically making fun of Mason, which was so like, girl, you were literally just
straight up sabotage, bro.
Oh, straight up sabotage. But she came in off of that breakup and was like, breakups are tasty or breakups taste good. And then talking about how, I mean, he was just, a whole clown or a little bit of a clown. Like, who says that about something they were just literally talking to? Like, because he didn't say anything, in my opinion, to make her think, like, oh, he's such a clown and this and that. Like, it's not like he literally sat there and, like, basically said that, like, he didn't like you anymore or something because you were breaking up with him. Like, that's not at all what happened. So, for her to do that was already putting things into Meg's brain and was like just really just bashing him and talking badly about him. Like that just shows who you are as a person, first of all. And then second of all, she knew exactly what she was doing. She went in there and kept talking to Meg, and like when they were in a whole like round table kind of discussion with all the other women that were engaged or ended up engaged or whatever, they were all sitting there and she was like, I don't know what you're gonna do and it's up to you, but like I don't think you deserve that. Like kind of like trying to plant in her head that like you shouldn't be with him, you shouldn't stay with him. And when
especially when Meg too made it known to all the other girls that was very much how she was pretty much feeling in that moment. Like you fed directly into that. Before you knew she was gonna go back in that room and talk to that man.
And all the other girls, if you didn't peep this, I'm telling you, go rewatch it. All the other girls in that room were actually sticking up for Mason and were like, and telling Meg like, yeah, like, and they were doing it nicely, but they were like, yeah, maybe just talk to Mason first and get all the details. And like, so they weren't doing it like, bitch, shut up. You know what I'm saying? But they were basically kind of saying like, don't listen to her. Maybe go in there with your own mind and like talk to Mason about this thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really think that she let Madison heavily influence her. And I don't even know if she realizes it or not. But like when all the other girls around you are also saying that too.
Yep.
Like everyone was saying something different besides Madison. They were all saying, and what girls root for the guy. So that's where I'm coming from too, is like, most of the time, girls will immediately back the other girls or if they like something is like wrong, right? So when the girls are backing the guy, saying, "Hey, maybe hear him out or talk to him and give him a chance," you don't think that Madison was maybe a little shysty?
Yeah, and then all the other girls probably picked the same thing. Like, you're saying all this about Mason, but technically you were doing the same thing with two guys. Like, they were all doing the same thing. I mean, that's the whole point of the experiment, is to figure out what's best for you and what do you want. And that's the only way to do that is you don't know until you know, first of all. Now, I will say, in a little bit in her defense, Mason did tell her that, like, he was all in for her, and then you turn around and say that you made a mistake. That's not going to play over well.
Yeah,
I don't care. Like,
I agree.
I don't care how sick the other person is. Yeah. That's not going to play over well. Now, I will say in Mason's defense, the guys weren't really talking to each other about who they were speaking to.
Not at all. Yeah.
So there's no way after, and I will say that Alex, right? Was the other guy?
Yes, yeah.
I will say that Alex did mention that, hey, we said that we're closed off to each other and she's like going to break up with this other guy. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't think did he drop a name? I don't remember exactly if he said her name in that moment.
No, he didn't, because he literally knew that it was Mason that she had to break up with, but he never said anything or acted any different because I personally think for him, because they hadn't talked to names yet.
Yeah.
And I think that was actually very respectful, because it's like, yeah, unfortunately, you know that she's breaking up with him, and like, so you feel bad at all if he does talk about her, but it's like, it's not really your place because it's their relationship, and you guys haven't even talked to names yet. So I'm glad that he did that.
I think too, even with that going into it, I believe that Mason was honest in what he said. I believe that he may have, in a moment, jumped the gun on some words and then thought about it afterwards and sat with it, and he realized that, okay, like, I do have something really good with Meg and I want Meg first. And then I can see, like, too, I mean, we don't know the time frame as far as like the episodes and how long they were actually talking up until certain conversations.
Yeah.
But I mean, after spending so much time talking to two people and you're talking about deep, connections and things that you want out of your future in your life, and you're getting to know this person, the lines, I can see them starting to get blurred with, all right, what's best for me and whatever. And he pointed out from the beginning that with Meg, it was like, I think he said that she was like, no, Madison was like all the girls he used to date.
Yeah.
And then Meg was like the outlier kind of girl that's just like, we have everything in common, you know?
And she was the only one that he gave attention to in his book, like off rip date number 1.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, he gives me straight up genuine vibes. And I felt some type of way with Madison talking about him. I'm like, first of all, like, he didn't do you that bad. Like,
he didn't do
and
bad
you
at all.
broke up with him.
You
know what I'm saying? You broke up with him, and then you was calling him all this shit, bringing up all this shit.
And then you were trying to ruin everything else he had going.
Yeah, like I think that was very shysty. Not trying to jump down her throat. I mean, maybe she's grown from it and she's learned from it or whatever. But at the end of the day, like that's kind of messed up to do to somebody. And it ended up biting her in the butt when Alex turned around and they ended up not even working out because she couldn't communicate, for one. Two, he's somebody that he reminds me a lot of myself. He can see and understand several different points of view. And he put himself in Mason's shoes and was like, well, I kind of get where he's coming from and how this can be confusing and all this and that. And she, like, again, did her avoiding thing, which she said she was going to work on and that, you know, she was going to go from. And she did her avoiding thing, not really wanting to talk about it after that, and, like, broke down and all this emotional stuff. And then, like, the conversation kind of went negative and there was nothing to talk about anymore. And, like, that's when I think he realized, like, yeah, it wasn't Mason. You know, like,
you know what I just thought of too is I think that her reaction and what she said in their conversation after he approached her about the situation is what 100% did it in for him, and she dug her own grave at that point because there's a saying it's not back up, but it's like you back up in public but correct in private. You know, the saying. I don't think it's the back up, but everyone I think knows what the saying I'm talking about is like. You always, defend. Defend in public, correct in private.
Yeah.
And, like, that's something I very much do believe in because it's, like, you want to be united front in public. But, however, like, yes, this is all on TV, so everything's public. But, like, he didn't really, like, correct to Mason when they were talking, like, about her or anything. So, I wouldn't say he necessarily defended. He was just getting information. So, I think that was fine. But in private, which was the time in the pods that they had, before, you know, basically their last conversation where he ended up saying, we're not getting engaged, like, that was his time to kind of correct almost. And basically get the story. So when what she's saying and her responses and how she's responding is matching up basically with how he already felt about the situation, you kind of did it in for yourself. You know what I mean? Because, like, and he even didn't know that the girls were talking over there until Mason told him. He's like, because he's like, oh, well, the girls aren't talking over there. He's like, you know, basically in so many little words said, hate to break it to you, bro. They're talking. Like, And so I think that was like
and she flat out told him they were.
Yeah, it was an eye-opener for him. And so I think that was a right decision because I just think that, like, once he saw that, he was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. And again, like, just from a public viewpoint, when the girls and the guys are all on the same page except for the one girl that it involves, what's my little tagline? Tagline button. Common denominator, honey. You're the common denominator of all the problems.
Yep.
Just saying. But yeah, I'll hop off that. Thanks. I just had to get into that because I just feel I feel on that one a lot.
Yeah.
A little shysty. But besides that, speaking of shysty, so how do you feel about the Daniel and Taylor situation with the Instagram?
So,
because I think that one's hard.
So that one is hard. I feel like there is a such thing as self-sabotage when something could have been good. I just felt like they got along very, very well. Like, okay, normally if you've seen Love Is Blind, you know when they first meet each other, it can sometimes be a little awkward, you know, because it's like, I know you, but I don't know you at the same time. But theirs just kind of flowed. I mean, it was just natural, which might lend itself to the social media thing. Maybe they didn't, or maybe he did prior, you know what I'm saying, recognize this, and it made it easy for them to relate so fast. But it's hard. But in my opinion, if you're really there to find love, if finding love was so hard for you, you have to go on the show and do it blindly, and you find a connection with someone, I think to fixate on the idea of maybe they just so happen to know the future and know that I was going to be on this particular TV show, and they followed me, and then they found out that I was going to be on, and they unfollowed me, and then they remembered my voice and my name and all these intricate details about me enough to create the perfect guy that I would want and know exactly how to say things and how to be there for me. And like I just think that to me is just like, just think about that. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't that just kind of sound insane? I mean, it happens. I mean, I guess TV. I mean, you see it on TV and it's like, oh, it could happen. But I mean, I don't know. Like, to me, that's just reaching a little bit.
Yeah, I will say about the situation that, like, one, you can't just make love out of knowing someone's likes. You know what I mean? Like, or likes and dislikes. Like, there's a lot that goes deeper into love, okay? So, especially for them to find it. Also, yes, love their banter. I feel like their banter is just, it fits so well, and I love to see it. So, I'm really rooting for them. And I did think it was a little weird that, like, she did remember. I don't know if they got their phones. That's the part that's, like, a little bit, like, fuzzy for me. Yeah, because I'm like, okay, so did they get their phones and she looked, or did she just, like, remember? But, I mean, I do understand maybe where she could be coming from of, like, experiment is Love is Blind. And it's like, if he happened to remember, whether he followed her and unfollowed her, whatever, if he happened to put it together and know what she looked like, yes, he still could have fallen in love, but no, it wouldn't have been blind if he did put it together or know who she was. And I feel like for her, that was obviously, I mean, for anyone going on the show, I feel like that was very important. And I did see something like previously, like before we started this episode, about like that the cast list might have gotten leaked. And it's like a small town. So like you tell one person and then like probably like 30 other people at least around you are going to know that you're going on the show.
Right.
Because again, small town, you tell literally one person. Right. Someone else is going to tell them, keep it on the hush hush. But so many hush hushes, people are going to know.
Right.
So my thing is like, I don't think he faked the love, because that's, again, very, not hard, but hard. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I don't think that that's what happened. Do I think that he might have known who she was, or like maybe what she looked like? Possibly. And if that's the case, he shouldn't have lied in meeting with her in person.
Right.
But then again, like, he really might have not remembered, because I can't tell you even, and I love you, but how many times men just don't even remember. Like,
yeah, you're just scrolling.
Yeah, like you're scrolling, or like you even, I think, saw something of mine a while ago, and like I actually remember that there was something we were talking about the other day, and you're like, yeah, I remember doing this or this with like someone, but I don't think it was you or whatever. I was like, that was me, babe. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, I was like, that was literally when we did this and that, and you're like, I'm so sorry. But I was like, no, it's okay. Like, especially for us, like, we've been together a long time. But where I'm getting at is like, after so much time, or like things can start to mesh, and you might forget, especially with Instagram. Like, if you've never met her in person, you followed, unfollowed, whatever, like, and you can't fake the Christmas stuff too. Like, he might, because, I mean, they both love Christmas, but he literally has been doing Christmas cards for however many years. Like, you can't fake when that picture was posted. So it's not like he all of a sudden loves Christmas because you love Christmas. Like, you both do love Christmas.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel
I get that part of it.
Like, what you were saying, like, if they had just taken another week, got to know each other, or got to the next stage of the experience. Yeah, we don't know.
They didn't say they would. It just doesn't look good.
I just feel like the last time they had that whole sit down with people, it was with, I can't remember their name, but it was like I can't remember their name for the last Love is Blind season.
Went to Miami or whatever?
Yeah, and they changed their minds about who they chose, and they ended up like getting together and like staying together the whole time.
Oh, wait, you're talking about the Washington couple.
Yes, yes.
It's
kind of like that
too.
But that was like after the pause. Like, that was, the pause were over at that point. So for them to show that scene of them sitting down, I'm thinking that they're probably not. They didn't continue it because of that. And I feel like the producers just plugged it in there so that they wouldn't have to explain it later. Like, it'll make sense.
I don't know. I hope they get pleasantly surprised, and like they.
But of course, I mean, they always go to like bars and stuff together, or like dinners with the whole cast there, and they do get a chance to meet everybody. You know what I'm saying, that they talk to. So I mean, there's gonna be a moment where all of them come back together, and maybe they can start anew, or maybe they can realize, okay, maybe I was tripping a little bit.
Right.
And honestly, now that I think about it, what you said, she knew more information and more details about his Instagram than he knew or seen that he remembered. So I'm like, did she meet him and like just didn't like what she saw, and then like just kind of blew this up just to kind of get out of it without looking like an asshole?
That's another thing. I don't think, like, from meeting, I don't know. I don't think she really found him that attractive from just kind of like, not even her manners necessarily, but the things that she wasn't saying or wasn't doing. That was very obvious to me. Like, it wasn't she was doing something wrong. It was stuff that she wasn't doing that was missing out of the meeting, that I was like, I don't know if she actually really thinks he's that cute or like likes him like that. But I also think, I mean, for women especially, I think this is true, is like, attraction grows. And I know, like, even speaking from personal experience, there's someone who people I know previously that before even us that I thought were like maybe a 5, and I hate to say it like that, but they just weren't for me, right? But because I got to know their personalities, they became like a 9. You know what I'm saying? An 8 or 9. Like, and all of a sudden I was like, wow, they're actually like so attractive. But really, it's just because your personality is like kind of altered how I viewed you in my brain. You know what I mean? Like, so I think for her, it could also be one of those things that it could really grow, and she could really grow to like really love how he looks or love him. And also, too, let's be real, women get with men all the time and like redo their fashion or their hairstyle or something. You know what I mean? Like, so it could be one of those things too. But I mean, but I don't think she didn't think he was maybe like not like ugly. I just don't think she saw him and was like, oh, he's super hot, just because of things that I kind of was missing out of their interaction together.
Yeah.
But the banter was still there. The love seemed to be still there. And it could have also been that she thought she recognized him too. So either way, I really do hope we get obviously a little bit more clarity, which on the next ones they'll probably tell us if they stay together, they broke up, whatever.
Right, for sure.
But yeah, because I thought I saw them in more previews beforehand, but in the preview after this first drop going into like the next drop, they don't show them at all. That's why I'm like, oh, dang, you know. But yeah, enough about that, unless you have any more thoughts.
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, well,
I feel like she just kind of took it and ran with it a little bit too quick without getting more information. He didn't help with his response to her asking.
Yeah.
He just kind of seemed.
I feel like he didn't defend.
It was like one of those like, I don't recall. Like, I have a picture in front of a fireplace, not a Christmas tree, and I'm definitely not holding a drink in it. You know, like,
I feel like
rather than like,
if he did,
like, cause I think if someone brought that to me, I'd be like,
what?
For real, bro? Like, come on now. Think about this.
Yeah, I do agree.
You are recalling more details than I am right now.
Yeah.
I don't like, come on. I followed you because I knew you were going to be in this TV show.
Yeah.
Doctored all this stuff just so we could be, come on.
Yeah.
Does that not sound crazy
like
to you?
He should have been a little bit more surprised if he wasn't expecting it. So I do agree with that. And I feel like his response should have been a little bit different.
Yeah.
If he was actually surprised of like,
and I do
get
it too. Like some guys approach things differently. Like maybe he was processing what he heard, was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, for real?
Kind of like confused almost.
Yeah, and then I think maybe his brain started puts it, maybe she don't like me. You know what I'm saying? Because especially if it's not true. Like, if it's definitely not true and there's no evidence presented that this was actually the case, then it's like, I kind of feel for him. Like, he probably was like gun shy. Like, he was just like, oh, damn. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
I do feel for him. But we'll let you guys know on, our next Love is Blind update. Because, of course, we're going to keep watching and update you guys as we go. But besides that, the only other two couples that we didn't really touch on was Joey and Monica.
Mm-hmm. They rushed. They rushed their experience in the pods. I feel like every other couple got a lot of time for pods.
Them.
But Monica and them, I can't remember what's
Joey
and Monica and them.
The only reason I know Joey is because he has like the longer hair.
I think in total we seen them 10 minutes. Like,
not even
probably out of all the 4 episodes that they dropped.
Yeah.
They seem like great people, and they do seem like they get along well.
I'm hoping we'll get more of them in the next one.
Or maybe in the next one there'll be more context as far as like if they're going to work. Or maybe there'll be.
Well, I hope we just get more of them a little bit because like I really have no idea who they are, really what's going on. Because like there was like no screen time, so
none.
Yeah, I would love, and they were like the first ones I think to get engaged.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but
and that's how I know they didn't get a lot of screen time because I feel like they show 5 minutes of a conversation, 2 minutes of another one,
and they're engaged. Yes.
And so I was like, okay. Cool, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the other 3 was them meeting each other for the first time. So that's 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was 10 minutes of total.
Don't have much to say on that one. That one's just going to be what that one's going to be.
Right.
We'll update you guys hopefully in another drop.
Dinger. All right, y'all can check me next week if I'm right in the comments, all right? Okay. I think something dramatic is going to take place later in the show, or they find out something about him that is not very forthcoming. So they limited his screen time in the beginning because it was like, he's kind of a shitty person. Let's not show all. Let's not give him all this screen. They're going to give a little bit to kind of set the story up. They're together. And then we're going to get into the deep end later. That's what I'm thinking. Because you have to think from the producers and the director's perspective. They still want to garner views. Like, they still want to get this attention. I mean, they're in small town. Where are they at? Michigan?
No, I think they're in Minneapolis.
I knew it was a min something.
Yeah.
Or miss something. But Minneapolis, they're in small town Minneapolis. So they got to make it interesting and make people want to tune in. But I won't prolong it and keep the episode going super long about it. But y'all check me next week if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I'm actually curious about that too, so I'll take you up on that bet, okay? And then last one is Ben and Sarah. I honestly don't really have much to say on them either. The only tiff that they kind of had was Sarah was like kind of trying to get into politics, it sounded like, and he was like, I just don't really have an opinion on it. Which honestly, I don't really fault the guy at the moment because I feel like our world is so political that if he really doesn't care or just kind of as, just if you're a good person, you're a good person. Because I do know people like that. Like they don't get into politics because all they care about is just being a good person, meeting good people, and they're like, and they leave it like that, especially when it comes to politics. And I mean, I respect it because I mean, even when politics weren't super polarized, people were still like that. Like people just don't want to get into it. So my thing with that is like I do understand it. However, I do also get her perspective of like wanting to know where he stands on things that might be really important to her.
Yeah.
But he was also willing to obviously like learn, kind of get a perspective, whatever. And he could have maybe been a little bit like sheltered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of in his views or something. But like I think it's fine.
I think there's two types of people. Like I think there are people that feel very, very strong about human rights issues and politics to where they feel like they need to be the voice. And there's others that have stances on these issues, but they don't necessarily feel like it's their voice that needs to push it, but they'll support, you know what I'm saying?
They're supporting it.
Towards that issue. And again, it's like an introvert versus an extrovert. You know, like, and there's nothing wrong with either side, but I did think she was kind of quick to just be like, I don't know, I kind of really need somebody who feels the same way I do about these issues. And I was like, I mean, I do understand. I mean, certain issues, like if y'all don't see eye to eye on, like I totally can see like, okay,
it won't work.
It won't work, you know, but I do feel like given a chance as things go on, you know, there will be moments to present. I mean, I know you're getting married, so you're throwing your whole life at this, but there will be moments that kind of present where he lies. And I do feel like it should be more so based on the personality of the person. Because, I mean, you'll know if they're good people or if they're a good person.
And that's where he was
based off their energy and stuff. And, yeah, but, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, that's just where he was getting at, too. He was just kind of like, I hope she would kind of tell that from, I think he mentioned to the guy of like, no, because I am a good person and whatever.
Here's what I was about to say. Sorry, I didn't cut you off. Are we finished?
Yeah, I'm done. I don't have anything else to say on Ben and Sarah.
I do also believe that when you're getting to know someone, and I have this rule for myself, when you're first getting to know somebody, I don't feel like politics is a very good first conversation topic to get into.
Well, it was like later on.
Oh yeah, that's right. They kind of speeded up, so it is kind of hard to tell when it was, and you could tell that they were getting closer.
They had a couple conversations.
Yeah, you're right. So, okay.
Yeah, I don't think they and honestly them. I feel like not that they were boring. I don't mean it like that. But like I feel like they didn't really have like a lot to go off of either. So I don't really have much to talk about them at this point. But honestly, these are also people that got engaged, like Joey, Monica, and Ben and Sarah. That like we don't really have much to say right now, but maybe catch us like next week or the week after, like when the next drops happen. Yeah, they might have something. That, I mean, something's gonna come up.
And not to keep the episode going too long because we want to keep it within a certain time frame for you guys this week. But I'll peep me now. All right, next week I got a couple predictions. You know what I'm saying?
All right, and number one.
I might post them on the page, but we're going to see when they all meet. We're going to see some sort of interaction. I think between Brittany and Virginia when it comes to Devin.
Yes.
Devin. I feel like because Brittany and Devin had really good chemistry and energy with each other. Yeah. So I feel like meeting in person, they could maybe be something. Ruffle some feathers as well as
and I think I saw something in a preview of him and her talking at some point, and Virginia was kind of like.
And then like I think Laura and Molly. Is that Lauren and Molly. Yeah. And who they do? David. Yeah. There's definitely gonna be something with that because bro don't even know. He don't know what he doing. I'm just gonna keep it real. He don't know where he at. He don't know where he came on the show for.
I hate to say this, but I think I have my own little prediction. So 2.5, okay, right there. I think that he might meet Molly and just be really attracted to her energy and kind of her infectious like confidence and energy that she brings. That it could possibly swivel his head or cause problems with Lauren.
Because him and Molly had like Lauren a sexual intimacy kind of thing in the beginning.
I'll say I feel like they had a very much kind of almost sexual kind of chemistry offered in their conversations, whereas like nothing against Lauren at all, like love her, but I don't think that they necessily had that.
And then their interaction when they first saw each other was way more awkward than I thought it would have been. And not to mention, we didn't. I hate to go back to it because we kind of already got through them, but. We didn't really even talk about how he came to the conclusion that Molly wasn't the one. It was after.
Yeah, when did that happen?
It was when.
It was when Lauren was about to leave because she was like,
she was like, "Okay, make up your mind."
I'm only here for you.
Yeah, and she just said this. So where are you at? Like, are you telling us the same thing? Are you playing us?
I like how he came.
And then I think because, again, he seems like a little kid. It just don't.
He didn't want to lose her.
Yeah, so I feel like because she was confronting him and he got scared a little bit, he was just like. it's you. It's always been you.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's what Mason did too. I think that's like a similar theme is like they didn't want to lose someone, so they kind of jumped down the throat to kind of do what they need to do or say what they need to say so that way they could at least keep them there for a little bit, which well, it's a little selfish, but I mean at the same time like I get like being scared and having that fight or flight response of like it's you. Okay, I'm picking you. You're number 1. Like
right, like cuz again,
I can't blame him
at that point in his mind it goes ding, oh, these girls are talking. You know what I'm saying? So if I don't say the right thing to her, she gonna run back and tell it to her, and then you know, like it's gonna be a whole thing. And so yeah. But anyway, I think those are like predictions.
Yeah, those are the predictions. And then is there anyone that also last prediction? Do you see anyone failing? Not I hate to say failing, but failing like the honeymoon portion, like not having that physical attraction.
Oh yeah, I can see a couple.
Who are your kind of ones that you might see not working out?
Do you have any off the top of your head while I'm thinking? Because I feel like
you might
part of
not
me
like
feels like
this.
it's too early to tell.
You might not like this.
You don't think Devin and Virginia?
For whatever reason, I really just Devin and Virginia are not. They don't seem in my brain. There's some sort of feeling I have.
You know what's funny?
I don't know if they're gonna work.
In my head, I was gonna say them, but I didn't want to say it. That's why I was like, yeah, because I was just like, oh, I just kind of like it, but I can see him being. They're both really reserved. They both do come off really reserved. I don't think one is gonna move faster than the other type thing. I think they'll probably move together because they both seem very reserved, very calm.
Yeah, that's just my prediction on that one.
So I don't know.
I'm not gonna get too much
because normally it's like
I don't know if I see that one working.
Yeah, because normally in the past seasons we've seen like one partner's like, you know, ready to kind of get things, and the other's like, hey, pump the brakes, bro. I just met you like a week ago. You know, like. So I can see that kind of plays a part in it a lot of times, or they have like one argument and it just kind of rolls over into everything.
It'll be interesting.
It's gonna be interesting.
Do you have anybody else though that you might? I mean, if not,
David and Laura, I don't think are gonna work out because I think
and Lauren.
Yeah, David and Laura. I'm sorry, I keep saying her name, Laura.
No, you're fine.
I don't think they're gonna work out only because I feel like again he still has to see Molly again in person and have a conversation with her in person. And so lying behind the screen to cover your behind is one thing, but when you're face to face with these people, there's certain things, and women can tell. Women know when their man is flirting a little bit, or when their mannerisms are different with a certain woman than they are with me, and then that's going to cause a question. So I definitely don't think those two are going to work out. But I hope that I'm wrong because she seems like a very sweet person.
Oh yeah, I hope I'm wrong about
she deserves, yeah. She seems, and so do Virginia and Devin. Like nothing against them too.
Yeah, it's also reality.
I feel like she deserves, and she really wants it. Like you can tell, she really, really wants to the point where she confronted him so quickly, and she did it in a very classy way. Yeah. And so like I'm rooting for her. I hope that it works. I hope that he does like, you know,
they got it,
bottle it in and do a good job. But we'll see. I don't know about Monica and Joey because again I do feel like there's a reason why that he only got so much screen time.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
I feel like there's a reason behind that. So. Yeah, and so I don't see them maybe going super far. I feel like there's some couples that we might have missed, but we only big.
I mean that's just my top one that I'm thinking of. That I don't know if they're gonna work kind of in that next stage, but we'll see.
Alex and Madison would have been in there, but they already broke it off before they even got too far. Yeah. Kudos to him.
Yeah, he dodged a bullet.
Yeah, because she got caught in the lie.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got too.
That's all I got. All right, well, that's it, guys. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up because we don't need to keep talking about the same people over and over again. Because we could go around in circles. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to offer too many spoilers if if you've watched a few and you haven't finished quite yet. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is a good touch base.
Oh yeah. Thank you guys, though, for joining us for this Love is Blind recap, basically, episode and listening to our thoughts on this. We would love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Yep.
Do you love Madison, whereas I do not like her and think she's the opposite?
Was there something big that we missed and that we didn't discuss that you're like, oh my gosh, how did y'all not talk about that?
Right.
And bring it to our attention so we can talk about it next week. You know?
Yes, we want to know. And next week, we're probably going to do another little recap for you guys, depending on how many episodes are coming out on the next drop. So just to kind of get you guys prepared for that one. Because we are following along with the season. But with that being said, do you have anything else?
And one quick tidbit, if you are somebody who's watching and you follow our episodes and you have never seen any part of Love is Blind, it is on Netflix, and I think it has a very sweet message in the terms of falling in love with somebody without
seeing
looks and without all of the extra glam. Just really getting to know someone for who they are. And can love happen that way? And there have been marriages that have happened from this show.
And
babies in marriages that are still going on that are super, super strong. So I think if you're looking for something and you're wanting to learn or get more into relationships and you want to learn more about love, I think it's a great episode to check out. And they do keep it PG. Like, it's pretty decent. I mean, other than the subject matter.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, overall, it
doesn't get too crazy.
Can you get or crazy can
you
get?
Half y'all already.
It's about
half y'all already throw it off anyway.
Anyway, with that being said, but thank you guys so much for following along. As per usual, if you did like this episode or want to follow along with us, please go ahead and give us a follow. We are at letmehollaatyou.podcast. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and everywhere that you listen to your podcasts. Like, literally all of them.
So you can't miss us. Don't even be lying. Say you didn't see the page. You didn't see the poll. You see it. You know you see it. You want everything. We see it.
And as usual, I post a poll on every Friday. The last poll that we just had was basically asking you guys what your favorite love, like, reality romance shows were. And it was actually tied between Love is Blind and Love Island. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode and our recap of one of y'all's favorite shows. But with that being said, yeah, give us a follow. I'm going to be posting, of course, another poll on Friday. And we'd love to see your answers and responses. But that being said, guys, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time on
Let Me Holla at You.